I call the member for Hill.
Mr Speaker, in speaking to the motion that has been put forward by the member for Morenni, I acknowledge this issue is a very emotional one and close to the member for Morenni's heart as a fourth generation South Sea Islander. The member for Morenni is a very protective of his heritage, and in 2019 became an honorary Vanuatu tribal chief, which is a great honour. Mr Speaker, Australian South Sea Islanders are descendants of the Pacific Islands blackbird trade that started in New South Wales in 1847, which resulted in the transportation of Australian South Sea Island people to Queensland in 1863. Between 1863 and 1904, around 60,000 Pacific Islanders were forcibly transported to Queensland, where they laboured to create the sugar plantations of North Queensland. The member for Morenni's great-great-grandmother was one of these Pacific Islander workers who was transported to Queensland to work in either the sugarcane fields or domestic services. As terrible as this period was, without the Australian South Sea Islander people and the Italians, we would not have a sugar industry for today. Mr Speaker, from what I understand, there was at least 40 pieces of discriminatory Queensland legislation introduced between 1900 and 1940, which applied to the South East Islanders who stayed on in Australia. Next week, September the 7th, is the 22nd anniversary of the Queensland Government's recognition statement made in Parliament by former Premier Peter Beattie. Mr Speaker, I won't forget this date because I was born on the 7th of September. Mr Speaker, I was very proud to have the opportunity to work with many South Sea Islanders during the 20 years of working on the Queensland railways. They were mates, extremely hard workers, tough as nails, very spiritual, and had great gentle natures who would do anything for anyone. Mr Speaker, I was involved with the Railway Silver Spike team. One of the teams consisted of all South Sea Islanders who took out the Central Queensland Championships and then competed in Brisbane at the Ekka and became the third best team in Queensland. Mr Speaker, during my railway and rugby league years, I had the opportunity to work with so many South Sea Islanders, which I have fond memories and huge respect for. I commend the member for Morenni for his passionate representation of his people and for bringing this motion to the House. Mr Speaker, the KOP will be supporting the motion moved by the member for Morenni.